Good morning, Converge. Welcome back. I hope you've had so much fun connecting with people. I've really enjoyed connecting with Jeff and Tammy and John from the Deaf Catalyst team. I learned there's 70 million people in the deaf community who are the third most unreached people group for the gospel in the world and the number one unreached people group with the gospel of Jesus Christ in the United States. I'm so grateful for the work that they're doing to reach the deaf community. So say hi to them today. But I'm here with Pastor Linn. Pastor Linn, I got to work on your team when I was young and green in ministry, but tell us a little bit about who you are, the church you pastor, and how you're connected with Converge.
Yeah, I'm a church planter. I planted when it wasn't sexy to plant, and God has just been incredible. I've been there 31 years now, and I don't intend to ever plant again. I plan to ride it out, but super involved in church planting, not only in the Phoenix area, but actually nationwide.
And one of the things that we talk about at Converge is relationships matter with mentors, with peers, with the next generation. How have relationships mattered to you?
I'm all in on relationships. Matter of fact, one of the things that happened is we formed a lead team in the Phoenix area. We would get together, we would talk church planting, but when we were done with that, we'd start talking about, hey, I'm struggling with this in my church, and someone else would say, I just did that 6 months ago, let me tell you how we fix that. And we literally lifted each other up because of those relationships. The thing we had in common was the task of planting churches, but that task brought us into relationship. And it's interesting now because in the southeast corner of Phoenix, there's 8 mega churches. 4 of those mega churches are Converge. And it's the 4 that were part of the church planting and part of that relationship network where we encouraged and lifted each other. I don't think any of us would be where we are if we hadn't had that relationship with Converge.
I love that, to know each other, cheer for each other, believe in each other. Tell me a little bit about your heart to invest in the now and next generation of ministry leaders and church planners.
Yeah, I'm a guy that remembers being young and having Converge leaders invest in me. And it changed everything for me. And so we've just been committed to say, hey, we're going to raise up the next generation too. But I think right now there's this incredible opportunity because the next generation, there is this movement that we're all seeing of young people coming back to church. But they're not coming back to church passively. They're coming back looking for life purpose and mission. And I believe that the church would actively engage with the next generation. We would see revival going across our country if we would lean in. And so I just think probably the greatest ministry opportunity we have right now is investing in the next generation.
And that looks like giving them opportunity to be green and learn and practice. Tell me your kind of thoughts on helping the next generation try, even if they're not fully baked.
Yeah, I think anytime you involve yourself with leaders, and especially young leaders, you've got to give the room for them to make mistakes. If you try to overmanage and try to keep them from doing it, they're not learning in that process. So we try to create a sandbox that says, hey, play within the sandbox, but within the sandbox, you get to lead and you get to try new things that maybe we haven't tried before. If they fail, okay, we learned a lesson. If they succeed, we learned a lesson, right? And so it's part of the fun of just being involved with young leaders is being there in the struggle.
I like that, being with them, and there's always an opportunity to learn in failure or success. Pastor Linn, I know you value risk for the kingdom, and at Converge, we want to see people reached with the gospel one by one all over the world. Talk about how risk and faith go together.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think in our human nature, we're always trying to avoid risk. We would like to have safety and we would like to have comfort. And yet, if you look at the Bible stories, the stories we teach our children, every one of those stories involves wild risk. It's David stepping out to fight Goliath. It's Daniel trusting God when he goes to the lion's den. It's the 3 Hebrew children being thrown in the fire, right? Every one of those stories is true and wonderful because someone stepped into risk with God and did something that was impossible for them, but was possible with God. And if you and I are going to move our churches forward, if we're going to move our denomination forward, we're going to have to embrace risk. When we hear that call of God, we've got to be willing to step up and say, all risk.
I love it. Well, thank you, Pastor Linn, for risking. Thank you for all the pastors in the room who've risked for the sake of the gospel.